Metal storms rise where the beasts abound. Steel meets steel in the crimson sand. The wolves of command make the final stand. Eyes of fire, armor brown and green, swift and silent through the battle scene. With their fighters pounding and our swords roar, the Republic cries, we yield no more. Monster machines, hours of fire, armor brown and green, swift and silent through the battle scene. With their fighters pounding and our swords roar, the Republic cries, we yield no more. Monster machines, in the shadow of black rebels rage, through the Helving Girder's fire cage. They charge as one without a sound. Command walls tearing the empire down. Other machines, fangs of thunder, claws of light, ripping through the guileless night. With lasers blazing, never tame. The walls of sea play the empire's game. Run with fury, strike with pride. Shoulder to shoulder where heroes die. Command wolves howl through smoke and flame. For freedom, justice, and the Hellenic name. They reach beneath the Brachial's gaze, unafraid of its cannon blaze. They outflank, they hunt with deadly grace. Each strike a blow to the empire's face. Fair beast, side by side, all swords war as enemies die. Brothers of battle, bonded in fire. Their fight for peace will never tire. Monster machines, in the dark, the swift justice of the Hellenic core. Monster machines, fangs of thunder, claws of light, ripping through the gunnel's night. With lasers blazing, never tame. The walls of sea play the empire's game. Run with fury, strike with pride. Shoulder to shoulder where heroes die. Command wolves howl through smoke and flame. For freedom, justice, and the Hellenic name. Command wolves, marching proud, in their howl the Republic's vow. Metal fangs the night they rend, they fight until the war's end. Monster machines, machines. In the void of the stars, a lone world screams. The broken, torn at the seams. Steel beasts clash in the fiery tide. From the central plains to the oceans wide. From mountains high to the desert stone, march the heroes carved in chrome. Shield lickers run with a howling might. Command wolves strike in the dead of night. Kodos roar on shattered ground, where liberty and steel are bound. That thunder stops, the earth will shake. For freedom's flame, make no mistake. Zoids, thank the metal hearts of fire. Zoids, in the storm we rise up higher. Republic's thunder, steel defenders roll through burning skies and battles toll. Zoids, this is the final stand. and the Ultrasaurus command. From shadows deep and wasteland blight, march the claws of the endless night. Hellcat stalk with silken death, sinkers soar with missile breath. The red horn charges cold and grim, death's song awaits on chaos whim. Their warpath scorch the justice blind, a ruthless march for a twisted mind. One is thunder, one is doom, they clash beneath sea's blood-red moon. Giant horns clash, cannon fire rains, one will fall and break the chain. Mad thunder charges, defiant roar, while death's cover hungers for the war. Zoids, justice rolling like a storm. Zoids, shattered cities, hope is born. Barricaders blaze the swamps and fire, rain or scream from the clouds like a choir. Zoids, marching for the light outside, with cannon fire and battle cry. Let the battles tremble, let darkness flee. The helling flame burns wild and free. With every Kado's terror and command wolf, we hold the line on sea's last gulf. The war drums thunder, the Zoids don't yield. The last stand roars on the battlefield. Zoids! Metallic giants rise from lying grounds. Blue guardians down the heart. Lights and fury